able to de-escalate the tensions. But I do think that Trump has one or two issues he should discuss with President Xi Jinping. And given what Xi Jinping said here and in the BOA forum, I do believe they should be able to come to a compromise.
We're going live to Osaka now, where US President Donald Trump is giving a press conference following the G20 Summit. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's been a really great period of time. I'll be leaving now, as you know, for South Korea. Some of you will be coming with us. I understand that we may be meeting with Chairman Kim, and we'll find out. We spoke with the people. Kim Jong-un was very receptive. He responded, and so we'll see. Because tomorrow we're going to the DMZ. I said, while I'm there, I'll shake his hand. We get along. There's been no nuclear tests. There's been no long-range ballistic tests. Gave us back our hostages, which was great, and a lot of good things are happening over there. So I let him know we'll be there, and we'll see. I mean, I can't tell you exactly, but they did respond very favorably. I want to thank everyone for being here today. It's a lot of press. A lot of press is outside too. They're less happy than you are. But the G20 Summit has been fantastic. Prime Minister Abi's done an incredible job, as he always does. And he hosted it very beautifully. You know where it's going to be next year, I think. Most of you know where it's going to be next year. It's going to be in a very great part of the world. And we'll be announcing exactly what's happening. But this was a really good summit and really well done, so professionally done. This marks my third visit to Japan as president. Melania and I we just left Tokyo a short while ago, as you know, a very short while ago, where we were the first state guests to Their Majesties, the Emperor and Empress of Japan. And that was thrilling. First time in 202 years that an event like that took place. So that was quite exciting. And I'm thrilled to be back. I always like being back in Japan. We've had a great relationship. We've never been closer to Japan than we are right now. Over the past 2 days, leaders from the world's largest economies have convened here in Osaka, which is a tremendous city. You fly over and you say, does it ever stop? It's big, it's beautiful, it's clean, and it's really the job they do with industrial manufacturing and lots of other things is really incredible. We had a very productive conversation with a number of the leaders of not only nations but business leaders here in Japan, and together we put together a lot of ideas and a lot of challenges for the future that we'll be able to meet and get things going very well. Our meetings also touched on women's economic empowerment. You probably saw that Ivanka Trump she's done a fantastic job, and also a fantastic job in getting jobs for a lot of people within our country, almost 10 million people. The importance of resilient and secure infrastructure, we discussed that at great length. The need to uphold the rule of law and the critical importance of achieving a future for international trade that works all of the time for all of the people. In addition to the working sessions, we had a lot of working sessions. Many of you were at the working sessions. I had tremendous bilateral meetings with many of the heads of state, and just some of them are Australia, Japan, India, Germany, Russia, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, China, Turkey, UK, and I met with Mexico also, with the representatives of Mexico who have done an incredible job. They've really stepped up to the plate. I appreciate it, and I want to thank them. They have 6,000 troops at their southern border by Guatemala, and it's very hard to come in now. And they just ordered, really it was somewhat of a surprise, 16,000 troops at our southern border. Their immigration laws are very strong. Ours are a disaster. Ours are a disgrace to a country. We have loopholes and asylum that we could fix the asylum very quickly. We could get rid of and fix the loopholes, but we could get rid of the loopholes and we would have absolutely no problem at the border. But if you watch the debates, If you call them debates, whatever they were, they don't really, I think they want open borders, I guess, even though 4 years ago.
We're cutting now to the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson, who's also speaking in Osaka and will be telling us about the meeting between Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Donald Trump. Let's go live to the scene there.
I'm sorry for the delay. And as you know, the G20 Leaders Osaka Summit has just concluded. With the rising downward pressure in our economy and more uncertainties, and the unilateralism and protectionism are undermining international order and multilateral trading system. The international community has paid high attention to this summit. And the leaders of the G20 members, the guest countries, and international organizations have had discussions on world economy, trade, digital economy, inclusive and sustainable development, infrastructure, climate, energy, and environment. They have adopted the G20 Leaders Osaka Declaration and other outcome documents. I'd like to bring to your attention that there is a special document. This is a statement on the cyber counterterrorism, and some leaders of the member countries, the guest country, and international organizations have exchanged views on digital economy and made a special statement on that.
All right, we're returning to President Trump speaking in Osaka for the time being. Let's go back to him.
A year ago, when I've never seen anything like it, it was beautiful. We talked about it. We had dinner last night, President Xi and a number of us. And it was something really incredible. In Beijing, the red carpet was rolled out for all of us, for this country, for our country. And we had a great meeting, and we will be continuing to negotiate. And I promised that for at least the time being, we're not going to be lifting tariffs on China. We won't be adding an additional, tremendous amount of, we have, I guess, $350 billion left, which could be taxed or could be tariffed. And we're not doing that. We're going to work with China on where we left off to see if we can make a deal. China is going to start, they're going to be consulting with us, and they're going to start spending money even during the negotiation to our farmers, our great farmers in the Midwest. I call them the great patriots, because that's what they are. They're patriots. And China is going to be buying a tremendous amount of food and agricultural product. And they're going to start that very soon, almost immediately. We're going to give them lists of things that we'd like them to buy. Our farmers are going to be a tremendous beneficiary. You know, if you look at farmers, for 15 years before I came into this position, the farmers have had a hard time. You look at that graph; it was down, fairly steeply down, and a lot of it was because NAFTA was a terrible deal. Now we have I spoke with Nancy Pelosi last night about the USMCA. That's Mexico and Canada, and it's now before them, and they'll have to make a decision. But that's one that the farmers love, the manufacturers love, the unions love. It's a great deal for this country. And NAFTA was, I think, one of the worst trade deals ever made. Maybe the WTO was worse. The WTO, from the time that happened in 95, from the time that happened, China became like a rocket ship. It was pretty much flatlined, and then all of a sudden it joined the WTO. And they went through the roof. And very much to our liability, we lost tremendous amounts of money from that time. I mean, we just lost tremendous amounts. It was a terrible deal, WTO, World Trade. And if you look at NAFTA, NAFTA has been a disaster for our country. The USMCA is a great deal for our country. I think Canada's happy, but they're not happy like we're happy, but they're very happy. It's a good deal for Canada, good deal for Mexico. They want it. Mexico just approved it in full. Canada is waiting for us to approve it. I was with the Prime Minister, just left him a little while ago. and they're thrilled with the deal, and we're thrilled. Everybody wants it, and hopefully it'll be a bipartisan deal. I view that. I told that to Nancy Pelosi. I said, view this as a bipartisan deal, because a lot of the Democrats want it, especially, I would say, the farm areas, but really the industrial areas also, the unions. We've got things on wages, and we have things on the environment that few people have ever been able to get into an agreement. And it's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. And it's a great deal. Tremendous support. So they have to put it up for a vote. And I think you'll get a great vote in the House, and you'll get a great vote in the Senate. And you'll have a tremendous trade deal between the United States and Canada and Mexico. And it's going to be something very special. So we spend a lot of time with a lot of countries. We do business with a lot of them. Australia is an example. With Japan, we're negotiating with them because they send us millions of cars and we send them wheat, which doesn't work. But what happens is Japan is, and you probably saw some of the things they're doing, but they're opening up many car companies and factories and plants throughout our country, especially in Michigan. We have a lot of activity in Ohio. Beyond Japan activity, we have a lot of activity now where companies are coming back to our country. We're the hot show. We're the hottest show in town. We're the hottest show in the world right now. Our economy is the best. One thing that every leader, virtually every leader that I dealt with said is that congratulations, it's incredible what's happened to the American economy. We're the best economy in the world. And it's something, and it started from Election Day. I put it out yesterday because we took a tremendous boost from the day after I got elected. The stock market went crazy from that point until essentially now. I think we hit in certain of the markets, we hit the all-time high again for many, many times. I can't tell you what it was, but many, many times. We broke the record, and our stock market is great. Our jobs are great. We have the best job numbers essentially we've ever had. In some categories, definitely we've ever had. The minimum, you could say, is in 51 years, but it's really more than that, and now it's going to be more than that. African American, Asian American, you saw that. Hispanic American, the best numbers in history, the history of our country. We have the lowest unemployment numbers, best numbers. And many others too. Blue-collar workers are doing fantastic. They're the biggest beneficiary of the tax cuts, the blue-collar. Blue-collar, we talk about for the rich, it's really for everybody. And it's also for big companies where they're moving here. And remember who owns the stocks, because the people that own the stock, it's not the big companies, it's the people with 401ks whose numbers are 60% and 70% and 42% and all different numbers that are tremendously high, where the other spouse thinks that the spouse that's investing in the 401k is a super genius. But those 401ks are very high. And if you listen to what I've been listening to, and we're not going to devote any time to it, but with that kind of an attitude, their 401ks are going to crash and the market would crash. Because with what they want to do, you would crash the market. And the amount of wealth that would be lost would be incredible. But I'd rather wait till later in the campaign to say that, because to be honest with you, I want them to go and take these policies and bring them up. I don't want them to change them anytime soon. Let them go have a good time. But it's been very interesting to watch what's happening. Actually, I found it very interesting. So with that, we'll take a few questions, and then I'm heading out to South Korea. And I may or may not see Kim Jong-un, but we'll be heading out to South Korea, spend about a day and a half there with President Moon, who's a really good guy. He was here too, as you know. I saw him. I met with him also. And we'll see what happens. Please, John.
Thanks, Katie. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining us here.
Yes.
We all appreciate it. It's always good to have a chance to ask questions of you directly. Can you tell us a little more about how this China deal...
All right, let's go back to the Chinese Foreign Ministry press there, also in Osaka now.
We have also done our work to place development at the center of the G20 work and to implement the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development.
中国、法国和联合国方面还延续去年的成功做法，今年再次举行了气候变化的三方会议，发出了坚守巴黎协定承诺， 加强应对气候变化国际合作的积极信号，为全球气候多边进程注入了强劲动力，为联合国气候行动峰会，这是9月份在纽约举行的，以及年底举行的联合国气候变化框架公约第25次缔约方大会的成功，营造了积极的氛围。
And China, France, and the United Nations again held a trilateral meeting on climate change. We have sent a positive signal to our commitment to the Paris Agreement and to closer international cooperation on climate change. This has injected strong impetus into the global climate multilateral process and has created favorable atmosphere for the success of the UN 2019 Climate Summit and the COP25 to the UNFCCC.
特别还要提到的呢是2016年杭州峰会，我们提出了高质量基础设施概念。在此基础上呢，这次峰会再次把高质量基础设施建设作为重要的议题，并且通过了高质量基础设施投资原则。
In 2016, in the Hangzhou Summit, we brought up the idea of high-quality infrastructure, and I'd like to specially mention that in this summit, high-quality infrastructure building is also an important topic, and we have made a principles for quality infrastructure investment.
这个投资原则的许多内容和共建“一带一路”国际合作的方向是一致的。也体现了高质量共建“一带一路”理念和行动的引领作用。
And these principles have synergies with our Belt and Road Initiative, and this again implements our idea to build high-quality Belt and Road Initiative, which serves as a guidance.
那么，我们中方呢与会第4个方面的目标呢，就是促进团结合作。构建广泛的伙伴关系网络。
And our fourth goal is to promote unity and cooperation and to form broad partnership network.
那么习主席呢，在与会期间呢，也出席了金砖国家领导人非正式会晤。
Presidency attended the BRICS countries' leaders' informal meeting on the sidelines of the G20 summit.
5国领导人这个围绕世界经济形势、金砖合作深入交换了意见，达成了广泛的共识，并且发表了联合新闻公报。
The 5 leaders had extensive discussions on and reached consensus on the BRICS cooperation and the international situation and adopted a declaration.
在这个公报中金砖国家重申对多边主义和国际法的承诺，支持对世贸组织进行必要的改革。大家呢表示要共同维护多边贸易体制及其核心价值和根本原则，推进国际货币金融体系的改革，落实2030年可持续发展议程，推进金砖新工业革命伙伴关系等务实合作，为 G20 大阪峰会应该说注入了正能量。
During this meeting, the leaders reiterated their commitment to the multilateralism and international law. They support the necessary reform to the WTO and will jointly uphold the multilateral trading system and its core values and fundamental principles. They will continue to advance the reform on international currency and financial system, implement the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Agreement, and we will continue to carry forward practical cooperation projects, including partnership on the new industrial revolution. This, I believe, injects positive energy to the G20 summit.
这就是我给大家介绍的这次习近平主席出席20国集团大阪峰会及相关活动的一些基本情况。那么下面呢，我愿意回答大家提出的问题。那我要跟大家说明一下的呢，我估计大家可能会对今天举行的一场双边会见非常的关注，但是呢，这个不是由我负责的，是吧？希望大家在提问的时候呢，能够把问题集中在跟会议相关的问题上。好，谢谢。
Okay, thank you. This is all I want to brief you on the President Xi's attendance in the G20 summit, and now I'm happy to take your questions. But first, I'd like to mention that I am not in charge of this specific bilateral meeting happened today, so I'd like you to focus your question on the G20 summit. Thank you.
好，现在开始进入答问环节。OK， 那这位女士。
谢谢王司长。很抱歉，我必须得问一下这个关于习主席和特朗普总统双边会谈的这个问题，因为就在会谈之前，那个特朗普总统说，双方会谈关于华为公司的事情。我就想请问一下您，双方是不是就此问题达成了某种共识和协议？因为我刚刚看到我们同事发的这个邮件上面有写，特朗普总统在举行记者会的时候已经宣布要可以允许美国公司继续向那个华为出售产品，这是不是意味着已经把这个对华为公司这个禁售的这个指令给解除了？谢谢。
因为非常不好意思啊，因为我并没有参加这个你说的这场双边会见，所以他们谈到了什么，怎么谈的，我确实也没有什么可以跟大家分享的。但是特朗普总统在他事后举行的这个发布会上讲到，这个美方有可能会解除对华为公司的一些限制。那么对这个我想我们肯定是，如果美方说到做到的话，我们肯定是欢迎的因为这个华为呢是一家私营企业，而且它的这个在它的这个信息技术在世界都是处于领先位置的。那么这么一个公司呢，我想无论它到哪投资或者参与当地的这个通信市场的开发和建设、运营，都会有对当地的这个通信产业起到一个很好的促进作用，对它呢这个进行一些超出技术和经济范畴的一些限制，肯定最后导致的是双输的局面。所以如果美方做出这个宣布真能说到做到的话，我们肯定是表示欢迎的。
I'm sorry, I haven't participated in that bilateral meeting, so I'm not aware of what they say. But you said that President Trump said that U.S. may lift sanctions on Huawei. If it does lift the sanctions, we will certainly welcome that, because Huawei is a private company and it's leading the world in information technology. Wherever it invests or operates, it will bring benefits to the local industries. So putting restrictions on its technology will lead to a situation where all sides lose. So if the U.S. lifts the sanctions, we welcome that.
好，我再提醒一下，就请各位媒体提问之前呢，先报一下所属媒体以及记者姓名，然后呢，提问呢最好是围绕刚才王市长说的这个G20他刚才出分会的内容进行的提问。谢谢大家的配合，感谢。好，现在第二个问题。好，那么这位女士。
司长好，我是田薇，来自于 CGTN 的记者。我是想从一个多边和双边的框架来提单这个问题。那中美之间的双方的交流，最后出来的比较让大家感到乐观的结果，在多大程度上补益到我们最后达成的这样一个多边的共识？也就是说，我们有这样一个宣言，今天产生大阪宣言。那与此同时，在这样一个多边框架下，大家的讨论又多大程度上来能够更多的支持中美之间的这种双边的讨论？请教您，谢谢。
I'm from CGTN. So my question is, the meeting between the Chinese and U.S. sides has made us all optimistic. So my question is, how does this contribute to the multilateral occasion, which promotes the adoption of our declaration? And on the other hand, how does the multilateral occasion help the bilateral meeting? How does it support that?
中美呢，分别是最大的发展中经济体和发达经济体，也是世界上第一、第二大的这个经济体，所以中美之间如何互动，那么肯定是对世界经济、 对全球经济治理都有很大的影响的。所以大家也很关注今天两位领导人举行的双边会见，那么也很关注呢中美在像 G20 这样的高层峰会当中呢如何互动，如何开展合作。那么的确呢，因为 G20 它是一个大家说的国际经济合作的一个主要平台，那么它在全球经济治理结构当中呢起到一个顶层设计的作用。那么所以大家也出于这个原因呢，也非常关注是吧？中美在当前的形势下是吧，怎么就 G20 是吧这个要讨论的一些议题开展合作、开展对话。那么应该说呢，我们一个是发达经济体，一个是发展中国家，所以我们在一些事情上呢，有分歧，这也不奇怪。但是呢，我们应该说，我们的共同利益远远超出我们的分歧，因为我们都希望保持世界经济有一个稳定、持续的增长，都希望呢，这个我们营造一个开放的、公平的、可预期的这个以规则为基础的这个大的环境我想这无论是对于中美两国，还是对于整个世界经济来讲，都是有利的。那么我们这次讨论的一些议题呢，也确实是对世界经济还是无论世界经济还是全球经济治理的长远发展呢，都会有一些重要的影响。比如说这个大家当前形势下很关注的这个世界贸易组织改革的问题。那么应该说这次我们通过大家的这个互动，最后大家还是达成了共识，我们应该说就保持世贸组织这个改革一个大致的一个正确的方向还是有共识的大家都认为呢，还是要维护世贸组织的这个一些核心价值和基本原则这个我们要设法呢，让世贸组织呢通过改革更好的发挥作用这都是大家无论是发达经济体还是发展中经济体一些共同点在这些很多问题上呢，中美也是有一些共同的利益的所以我们应该说这个会议达成共识，也就意味着中美在这些问题上也有着共识这个如果说整个多边的机制、多边的规则发展的好，那么对于中美两国这两个世界上最大的经济体处理好他们之间的关系能够实现互利共赢也是有好处的。
China is the largest developing country, and the U.S. is the largest developed country. So, as the biggest and second biggest world economies, it is very important for our interactions that we have this huge influence on world economy and global economic governance. I believe that you pay very much attention to the bilateral meeting between China and U.S. And as I know, the G20 is a major platform for world economic cooperation, and it can be considered as the top design. As developing and developed countries, it is normal that we have differences between us, but our shared interests far outweigh our differences. So we both hope that the world economy can still achieve stable growth, and we are looking forward to foster an open, fair, predictable, and rule-based environment for the economies. It is good for our both countries and the world economy. We have discussed some topics that have a long-term importance to the world economy and global economic governance. For example, we talked about WTO reform. We have made some consensus on that. That is, we will keep the WTO reform on the right direction. And we both believe that we need to uphold some core values and fundamental principles of the WTO. And the reform should help it to play a better role in world economy. We share common interests on this. And of course, there are consensus made during the G20 summit, and there are consensus made between us. If the rules and mechanism of multilateral is good, then it benefits both our two countries and will create win-win results.
好，谢谢。第三个问题，这边这位女士。
司长您好，我是深圳卫视记者赵冉。我想提问的是，习主席在会见德国总理默克尔的时候表示，中国扩大开放的承诺绝不是空头支票，欢迎德国企业继续深耕中国的市场。那么我想问一下，中国能不能具体谈谈中国扩大开放的这个决心？谢谢。
那么，习主席这次在G20峰会上，也宣布了这个5方面中国进一步开放的措施。这是继这个习近平主席在4月下旬北京举行的第2届“一带一路”国际合作高峰论坛开幕式的讲话上，中国宣布的一系列这个扩大开放的这个举措之后又一次重要的宣布，这特别是在当前这个保护主义这个单边主义抬头的情况下，这个多边体制也受到了一定的压力世界经济呢也有很多下行的压力的情况下呢，应该说是有着非常重要的积极意义的。这也表明了这个中国无论是这个世界经济环境发生什么样的变化我们都会坚定不移的沿着改革开放的道路走下去的决心。同时呢因为现在世界经济刚才讲了，也确实有一些这个不确定的因素风险也在增加。那么我们作为世界第2大经济体，而且这些年呢一直是为这个世界经济增长做出最大贡献的一个经济体，我们宣布进一步的开放市场的举措，也意味着呢我们愿意进一步的和世界分享中国发展的机遇。那么也是为中国为世界经济的增长提供进一步的动能，也体现了我们中国作为一个大国的一个担当。
President Xi announced 5 major approaches to open up wider to the world during the G20 summit, and this is the second time he put forth such important measures after the second Belt and Road Forum in Beijing. With protectionism and unilateralism on the rise, the multilateral system is faced with a lot of pressure, and the world economy is facing downward pressure. So President Xi's remarks are very important. It shows that no matter how the situation will change, China will continue to advance our reform and opening up. And as I said, we are faced with many uncertainties, and China, as the second largest world economy and also the biggest contributor to economic growth, is opening up wider to the world. It means that we would like to share our development opportunities to the world to inject new impetus in world economic growth, and we are living up our responsibilities as a major country.
好，下一个问题。第3排这位男士，对 ，yes。
Yes, Keith Bredger, New York Times. The United States did not support in the communique the language on climate change. Where do you see the potential going forward for climate change, and is it going to be possible to get meaningful efforts on this without U.S. support? Thank you.
You've raised a very important.
联合国表示并不支持在公报当中关于气候变化的一些内容。那么您认为这个会对我们产生什么影响？
那么，美国呢是世界上最大的经济体，也是国际气候变化合作中非常重要的一方。
The U.S. is the largest economy in the world and also an important participant in the cooperation on climate change.
美国虽然宣布退出了巴黎协定，但仍然是联合国气候变化框架公约的缔约方之一。
The U.S. has withdrawn from the Paris Agreement, but it is still a party to the UNFCCC.
所以呢，应该说，美国仍然是国际社会应对气候变化挑战的进程的一个重要的一个组成部分。
So it is still an important part of the international process to deal with climate change.
那么美方做出的这个政策调整呢，是美方自主做出的决定。
And its policy adjustment, it is its independent choice.
我想其他国家对此是尊重的，虽然我们有自己的看法。
Although we have our own opinions, we respect its decision.
这些年呢，这个20国集团在引领国际气候变化合作上还是发挥了重要的作用。
In recent years, G20 has played an important role in leading the efforts on climate change cooperation.
那么，2016年杭州峰会的时候这个当时中美专门就气候变化问题这个我们共同发挥了重要的引领作用。
And in the Hangzhou Summit in 2016, China and the U.S. have played an important leading role in the cooperation on climate change.
近几年呢，每年气候变化呢都是领导人峰会讨论的重要议题，也是会后通过的公报重要内容。
And in every year, in recent years, climate change has been an important topic between our leaders in the G20 summits and also an important part in the final declaration.
虽然美国现政府呢对巴黎协定的态度有了变化，但是经过大家的共同努力呢，我们还是在G20开展气候变化合作上找到了一个基本的共同点。
And although the current U.S. administration has a different position on the Paris Agreement, we still reached basic consensus on the climate change cooperation during this G20 summit.
这就是呢，在联合国气候变化框架公约的范围内呢，遵循共同有区别的原则，我们把经济发展、环境保护、应对气候变化密切的结合起来，来推进相关的合作。
That is, based on the UNFCCC, we have common differentiated responsibilities, and we combine our efforts on economic growth and environmental protection.
那么这次呢，大阪峰会，我们在最后一刻，我可以告诉大家，我们这个气候变化问题呢，是我们最后一个达成共识的问题。但是还是在最后一刻达成了共识。
And during this Osaka summit, climate change was the last consensus we made at the very last minute, but we still made it.
这本身呢，我想就是对国际环境合作、可持续发展合作，特别是应对气候变化的合作，就是一件好事情。
And this in itself is a good thing to our cooperation on sustainable development and climate change.
谢谢。
Thank you.
好，
最后一个
问题哈。
One last question.
这位先生，好吧。
谢谢，我是先子点 NHK 电视台的记者。我的汉语说得不太好，所以允许我用英语提问。
好吧。
In this G20 summit, all countries agreed on the need of the reform of WTO, World Trade Organization. But I think United States and Japan, when they say WTO reform, they want to strengthen the rule concerning the government subsidy to enterprises, which I think China is not so positive. So when you say you need the WTO reform, what kind of reform do you want? Even though Prime Minister Abe said all G20 countries agreed to WTO reform, isn't that something like in the same bed but have a different dream? しぶし。
在本次 G20 峰会过程当中，各国都同意对 WTO 进行必要的改革，但是美国似乎对强化关于政府补贴方面的规则特别的在意。那么我想问中方在此角度的立场是怎样的？那么安倍首相也说过，说是各国都支持进行必要的改革。那么您认为这是否在您看来是一种同床异梦呢？
这个当然了，也可以同床异梦。也可以，虽然睡在不同的床上，做着同样的梦。
Well, when it is okay for us to have one dream or different dreams.
关于世贸组织改革呢，因为这确实是现在全球治理、全球经济治理演变一个非常重要的问题。
The WTO reform is indeed an important issue in the global economic governance.
甚至说呢，可以说是一个焦点。
And it is even the focal point.
因为它牵扯到呢这个世界经济的发展以及这个世界经济格局的演变。
Because it concerns the development and framework of the world economy.
在这个问题上呢。G20 的成员国应该说是有着基本的共识的。那么在去年布宜诺斯艾利斯峰会上，我们达成了共同支持世贸组织进行必要改革的这个重要的共识。今年大阪峰会呢，重申了这个共识。
And on this issue, I believe members of the G20 have reached basic consensus. During the summit last year, members believe that we will support necessary reform to the WTO, and this year we reiterated this commitment.
我们的一个共同点就是，我们都支持以世贸组织为核心的多边贸易体制，这是改革世贸组织的一个基本前提。
And the common ground for us is that we all support the WTO-centered multilateral trading system, and this is the fundamental prerequisite for us.
那么，世贸组织呢，这个有三大职能，一个是谈判，一个是监督，再一个呢是争端解决。大家都希望呢通过改革，使这三大职能呢都得到加强，这样呢，世贸组织可以发挥它应有的作用。
The WTO has three major functions: negotiation, monitoring, and dispute settlement. Through the reform, we all hope that these three functions can be enhanced so that WTO can play an even greater role.
So in that sense, that's what I meant when I said, even if people may sleep in different beds, they may dream the same dream.
所以这就是我们说的，即使我们是在不同的床上，我们也可以有同一个梦想。
那么大多数世贸组织的成员，大多数 G20 的成员，关于世贸组织改革一个优先事项，是要解决世贸组织争端解决机制目前的瘫痪问题。
And most members of the G20 prioritize the current paralyzing status of the DSM in the reform of the WTO.
由于它的上诉机制这个法官的人选任命受到了阻碍，所以现在这个它的争端解决机制呢不能正常的发挥作用。
Due to the blockage in the appellate body member appointment, this body cannot be functioning normally.
事实上呢，这个世贸组织和它的前身关税贸易总协定最大的区别，就在于它有了争端解决机制，使得它在确保相关的规则能够得到实施方面，有了所谓的牙齿。
And the biggest difference between the WTO and GATT is that there is this DSM, so that it can ensure the rules can be followed. It means it has teeth.
就在特别是当前啊，这个贸易保护主义的措施在上升的情况下，我们有一个共同的规则，可以共同遵循的规则，有一个共同能解决我们相互分歧的一个机制，是非常重要的。
Especially when we're faced with rising trade protectionism, it is very important that we have the same rules that we can follow and the mechanism for us to resolve the differences.
在这个问题上呢，绝大多数 G20 的成员。
And that was the Chinese Foreign Ministry Special Envoy on G20 affairs speaking in Osaka on the outcomes of the G20 summit. And earlier we also heard a press conference given by US President Donald Trump, and there he talked about some of the big focuses that we'll be discussing in a minute with our studio guest, and that's Victor Gao from who's Vice President of the Center for China and Globalization.
Thank you for having me.
Victor, glad to have you in the studio with us. Now, you know, the big focus that everybody wants to know, this bilateral meeting between President Xi and President Trump, and whether there can be a breakthrough in the US-China trade war. And earlier we heard from President Trump, and he said that they're not going to be adding any more tariffs. We know the two leaders have agreed to negotiate, but yet he said he's not lifting tariffs either. But then there's also this possibility of the ban on Huawei being lifted. So what are these, mixed signals or positive signals towards a solution?
Well, first of all, based on all the evidence made available, I think the Osaka G20 summit is a great success. So we are very happy about the overall outcome of this summit meeting. Between China and the United States, yes, the summit meeting between President Xi Jinping and President Donald Trump is highly expected, and I think, generally speaking, is a very successful meeting because it tranquilized the situation, at least for the moment, and it brought back confidence to the business community. And your questions about what President Donald Trump said, I think it's really very, very mixed and uncertain from the Chinese perspective. I think the government report says that the US side has already agreed to levy no more tariffs on additional amount of trade volume. I hope this is true, and I still want to see what exactly the American side would say in its official document. Now, President Trump has the tradition and the track record of saying one thing but meant another thing, and then constantly changing or amending whatever he has said as if he has never said that. So I think my personal view is that we need to be on high alert and really listen to what he has to say and watch what the US government will do. On these two things, I think he meant that while China has insisted to reach any trade agreement between China and the United States, all the tariffs that the US government has levied on Chinese export in recent years need to be terminated and lifted. And I think if President Trump is right, he means that they will not lift the tariffs already levied on the Chinese export. That's a major, major thing because
that's a big sticking point, isn't it?
Absolutely. You are talking about more than 250 billion US dollars trade from China to the United States. For Huawei, you also asked about Huawei. Let me be very quick. I think the US government decisions on Huawei are wrong to start with and is now backfiring on the US exporters and many companies involved in exporting, providing all kinds of services to Huawei. So eventually, if the United States does not change its decision on Huawei, US will suffer the bad consequences, probably much more so than they originally expected. So it's time for the United States to terminate whatever they had decided against Huawei.
Let me just quickly ask you, we have maybe 1 minute for you to answer this, but Donald Trump mentioned that the WTO was the worst deal possible. Could you just quickly explain that for us? What does he mean by this?
I think he's really distorting the facts. WTO, despite of all its flaws or shortcomings, has played a very important role in the last several decades in stabilizing global trade, promoting development of all kinds in different parts of the world. And as a result, I think the world today is much better off than in the 1990s. I think President Donald Trump is only using some distorted version of whether the American economy has benefited or not, especially compared with other countries as the sole benchmark to say whether WTO is a good thing or not. And his assertion that WTO is probably the worst animal in the street is completely far from the fact. And I think in the short term at least, there will be no international organization to come out to replace WTO. So we still need to live with WTO and do the amendment of the WTO rules to whatever extent possible, rather than yelling foul at WTO.